question posed by Mill is this, and I quote, "What then is the rightful limit to the sovereignty of the individual over himself? Where does the authority of society begin? How much of human life should be assigned to individuality, and how much to society?" Put purely and simply, where does the individual's freedom end, and at what point are society and other individuals permitted to poke their nose in? As with the other great political philosophers we've looked at this term, Mill recognizes the fundamental relationship between the individual and the collective body that we conveniently dub society. Embedded in this relationship are the three key doctrines of equality, liberty, and fraternity. Mill is clearly pinning his colours to the mast of the good ship Liberty. As we've already stated, he believes in a tenuous arrangement by which the individual should be allowed to make his own mistakes, but not the kind of mistakes which have a detrimental impact on others. And given that we accept this rather fragile marriage between the person and his peers, what direction does he take? What drives his behaviour? Well, what then is supposed to be the role of the individuals that make up a society? What is their motivation? What should their position in the scheme of things be? Yes, Adam.
The pursuit of individual happiness resulting in a common group happiness?
Obviously a doctrine you subscribe to, Adam, judging by your attendance this term. No, Mill clearly states that happiness is not the perceived goal. It's merely a byproduct of the needs, drives, and desires of the individual. Yes, Rachel.
The utilitarian cause, equating individual pleasure and pain with that of the whole.
You know, you'll have Mill turning in his grave. No. Following the utilitarian cause led Mill to have a complete mental breakdown. It left him feeling misguided and wanton. Or what we might call a midlife crisis. I don't think Mill would thank you for tagging him with that particular label. Claire, what do you think would have made our 19th century libertarian rejoice?
Is it the exaltation of the individual over society?
Precisely. Oh, thank you. Yes, the exaltation of the individual over society. And I quote, "Over himself, over his own body and mind, the individual is sovereign." The question which arises is, of course, well, just how much can you do with your own body and mind without hurting others? It's all very well to exude in your own hedonistic idiosyncrasies, but can you really have fun without causing heartache along the way? Some food for thought. For many years, Mill enjoyed evening meals, weekends in hotels, and trips abroad with another man's wife, a certain Mrs. Taylor. Well, he did at least have the decency to wait for some time after her husband's death before marrying her, so I suppose he had some scant regard for society's views. But when the two were married, they withdrew to some large extent from public life. Society did not look kindly on what Mill might have described as the legal joining of their bodies. Is it any wonder Mill expresses a certain disdain for what is termed the opinions of society? In our next lecture, we shall be looking at the way in which Mill applies this doctrine of individualism to everyday life. So I want you to read Chapter 5 of On Liberty, with particular reference to taxation, education, and the sale of poisons. The title for your end-of-term dissertation will be, and please write this down, "Mill's ideals have little or nothing in common with those of the liberal parties of Great Britain." Mill's ideals have little or nothing in common with those of the liberal parties of Great Britain. That concludes today's lecture, ladies and gentlemen, so please pursue your own desires and try not to hurt anyone else along the way. Hello? Look, we've been over this 1,000 times. I've nothing further to add. We have talked.
No, I mean really talk.
Well, what more is there to say? I'm sorry. It's all a bit passé, really, isn't it?
But we could try again. Give each other a bit of space, like you suggested.
Look, Alison, you're a really nice girl. You've got a lot going for you. You're far too young to be melancholy, so just let it go, okay? Yes, I read your note. Look, are you sure about all that? I mean, it's only been a few weeks. You could have confused the dates. You can't be absolutely certain.
I just know. I can feel it. I know it's true.
Well, if it is true, you're going to have to sort yourself out. I mean, I never know what I'm going to be doing from one day to the next. I can hardly start planning your life for you. I'm sure you'll come to the right decision.
But what is the right decision? Tell me what to do.
I want you to stop telephoning me at home. I want you to get yourself together and enjoy yourself, for both our sakes. We have talked. Oh, I'm sorry, Alison. Look, I've got to go out now.
Go out where? Who are you going to see? Richard. Richard!
Well, I've come up with this rather ingenious plan, if I say so myself, whereby I divide the group into two, thus minimising the strain on lab time. Oh, Mark Taylor can take care of the current project. I mean, that's his baby anyway, leaving me to continue with... I see your mind is still firmly on college affairs.
Sorry?
Tell me, are you still having anything to do with that student girlie? Richardson, isn't it?
You mean Alison? Alison Richards? Yes. I mean, no. In fact, it's somewhat of a moot point at the moment. It's taken me some time to get the message through to her. At least I think I have.
You mean she's finally realised that you're not the marrying type now? Really, you ought to be a little more discreet, you know. I mean, look what happened to that typist, whatever her name was.
And do I sense a modicum of envy in your voice, Alan? Well, surely this is what the social sciences are all about. Developing an intimacy with one's students in order to promote an easygoing atmosphere in which to procreate ideas and opinions.
Hello, Mr. Harris. Mr. Webster.
Hi, Sarah. You can refer to us as Richard and Alan, you know.
Sorry. You are still coming to the party, Richard. Oh, come on. You won't feel out of place. I'll probably be the only first year there. Oh, by the way, we managed to find a new flatmate to replace Jackie. She drove me into town at lunchtime. I expect I'll squander what's left of my grant, you know, on cocktail sticks and vol au vents. Still, we've got plenty of boozing, Richard.
Oh, well. In the face of all this endeavour, how could I possibly stay at home tonight and mark essays?
Well, quite frankly, Sarah, I'm amazed that you've managed to find time to organise a party whilst working to meet the deadline for the toxicology assignment that I set you. No doubt I shall find it in its completed form on my desk by the lunchtime deadline.
Yes, it will be. It will be, Mr. Webster. Anyway, I'd best be off. See you later, Richard.
Don't be too hard on her, Alan. Perhaps I can have a word with her tonight for you.
Oh, Richard, I nearly forgot to say. On the subject of chemistry, last night was memorable.
Do you think I've cut enough bread?
I'm not sure. We'll cut some more just in case.
Well, just how many people are we expecting then, Sarah?
God knows. I just hope we've got enough dips. I wanted to go back to Mark's and get some more, but she said she had to get back.
I mean, why isn't she helping us with this lot?
Apparently, Jane, she's having a migraine. Well, if she's going to walk about with a face like a wet weekend all night, then I'd rather she did stay in her room.
Oh, well, I suppose she only moved in this morning. It's going to take her a little while to get used to us.
Oh, come off it. She knows us fairly well from college, and I dare say most of the people that are coming tonight. No, if you ask me, she's moping over some man.
Oh, yeah? And who's this then?
I'm not sure yet, but the signs are there. Listening to all that sloppy I'm so blue without you music, the puffy eyes. I've seen it all before. There's definitely a man involved somewhere. Maybe it's you, James.
It doesn't have to be a man. It could be you, Sarah.
And I thought you were such a mature student. You know what to do with your French sticks.
Cheer up, love. That never happened. You want to dance?
No, thanks.
Can I get you a top up?
No.
I suppose the French kiss is out of the question as well, then.
Look, I'm really not very good company at the moment.
Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Anyway, I don't know what you say in that lecturer bloke. We're more of a lecturer, really.
What are you talking about?
I don't suppose you'd lower yourself to get friendly with a mere technician like me. Bloody ancillaries, that's what they call us. Anyway, if he's so bloody clever, how come he let that little accident happen then? You'd be amazed what you can hear when you're lying under a workbench trying to fix a bloody mess left by a lecturer. I mean, some people talk about the most interesting things, you see, and they don't even know you're there.
I think you'd better explain yourself, Colin.
Let's just say you can have my love child any day of the week, darling. What did you do that for, you daft bitch? Oh, bloody hell.
Alison, can you get the door? And whoever it is, don't throw a drink over them, or we'll have to make another trip to the off-licence.
I'll get it. Hello there. Come in.
I didn't know you were coming.
I didn't come. Well, I mean, I live here. I moved out of the flat.
Since when?
Since today. At least I haven't had a chance to be alone long enough to worry about what's happening with us two.
Richard! I thought you'd got lost. Mind you, you're usually late turning up. Although I must say, it doesn't take you long to find your way to the bedroom, does it? Have you met a new flatmate?
What the heck? Oh, come on, love, there is a queue, you know.
you and Alison used to be an item.
Because I didn't know she was your bloody flatmate. Anyway, we're not really an item. Just company, I suppose.
And how long ago did she stop being company?
Oh, months. She's just a bit slow on the uptake, that's all.
You can be a callous bastard when you want to be. Anyway, you're in serious danger of ruining the party. She's been looking suicidal ever since you moved in. Seeing you and me, darling, must have been the last straw. I suppose I'm going to have to go and talk to her.
Don't say that. I'll go and talk to her. Say something nice. Try and calm her down a bit.
Oh, really? And what are you going to say to her? Hey, Alison, look on the bright side. I may not be seeing you anymore, but at least you'll be able to hear me screwing Sarah through your bedroom wall.
Leave it to me. I'll talk to her. I can't make things any worse, can I?
That's the first sensible thing he's said.
Alison? 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 Alison, it's Richard. Look, come out here for a minute. I want to speak to you.
Go away! Please, just go away. I don't want you near me.
Look, come on. I thought I'd explain things to you. I thought you understood. Look, there's no need for all of this. Now, come on, Alison, for God's sake, come out. We can sort this thing out amicably.
No! Just leave me alone. You're such a bastard!
Look, Alison, if you won't come out, let me in for a minute.
No! No!
Now listen, Alison, think about it. Now, would I be standing here doing this if I didn't care?
Hi, Sarah. Anything wrong?
No, nothing. Oh, help yourself to a drink. There's plenty in the kitchen.
Thanks. Through there, is it?
Yeah.
Can I get you on one then?
Yeah. Vodka and tonic, please.
Coming up.
Right, now listen, you. It's over. Have you got that? You've left me no other way of saying it, for Christ's sake.
It doesn't matter how you say it, because you never tell the truth, do you? You at least owe me the truth.
I don't owe you anything. There was never any intention this should become serious.
There was intention from me. And you knew it. But you let me go on believing everything was all right. So, when did Sarah push herself onto you?
Sarah? Well, I would have mentioned it sooner or later. Anyway, it's no big deal.
No big deal. You're damn right it's not! I'm not going to let that slut come between us!
Now, hang on a minute. What is all this? I do care for you, but in a new way. Now, let's not blow this all out of proportion. We can talk about it tomorrow when we're both a little calmer. I don't want you to do anything unnecessary.
Oh, don't worry. I won't do anything to embarrass you.
Look, one phase of our relationship is over. But we can still be friends, you know.
Perhaps it is over. Perhaps it's all over. Now leave me alone!
Why do you have to overreact? What if I...
Get out! Get out!
Oh, what is the use? I'm going to have to leave now. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't ruin the party. Before we continue with Mill, has anyone seen Alison? Anyone seen Alison? Very well. Turn to chapter 4 of On Liberty. Application.
Don't you mean chapter 5?
Yes, that's what I said, chapter 5. Firstly, the right to purchase. The Mill touches on freedom of trade and the rights of the consumer. I quote, "There are questions relating to interference with trade which are essentially questions of liberty, such as Maine law, the importation of opium into China, the restriction of the sales of poisons. Now, these interferences are objectionable, not as infringements on the liberty of the producer or seller, but on that of the buyer." Mill goes on to conclude that since poisons may be bought for non-criminal purposes, their sales should not be prevented. On taxation of liquor, he concludes that taxation must be fair and not prohibitive. It is one thing to raise revenue for society's benefit. It is another entirely to make a commodity too expensive to be generally available for purchase. On education, Mill's view is this. Where was I up to?
Mill's view of education.
Yes. Of course, Mill believes that the state should make education compulsory and assist with the costs. But that education should not be provided by the state. Has anyone seen Alison? On taxation of liquor, sorry, I've covered that argument. The fact itself of causing the existence of a human being is one of the most responsible actions in the range of human life. Unless the being on whom it is to be bestowed will at least have the ordinary chances of a desirable existence, is a crime against that being.
This is Mill on education.
Yes, of course it's Mill on education. Look, I think we better leave it there for today. Have an early lunch. Did I set the end of term dissertation?
Your group's finished early, Richard. Is there anything wrong?
Have you seen Alison?
Alison? Alison, Richard? Well, she's just telephoned the switchboard in a terrible state. I mean, what's going on, Richard? You look awful. Apparently she kept talking about some sort of wine bottle, whether you drunk from a wine bottle at a party. I mean, have you ever drunk from a wine bottle at a party? Richard? Richard. I'll go and get some medical assistance. Richard. Oh my God, Richard. Speak to me, Richard.
to help me put my room back together, and you can pay for the equipment you've smashed. Look, I'm sorry about this Richard thing, but I didn't know he'd been through you as well.
I've just tried to ring the college. You see, he took the bottle from me. He didn't know.
Didn't know? Didn't know what?
I put something in it. Something for me. Last night, from your... Oh, some powder.
You mean one of my chemicals? You stupid cow. Which one? Well, which one?
I think it was a brown bottle.
A brown bottle? With a glass stopper? Chloral hydrate.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I just couldn't bear it. I found the bottle this morning by the front door. There wasn't much left.
Yes, thanks to you. I spent ages in the hall with Richard trying to persuade him to stay.
Did he have a drink?
Christ, he must have. He said something about the bottle being corked. I'd better get up to college. You don't know what you could have done, do you?
Tell Richard I'm sorry.